I'll start off with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I just want to say thank you, everybody, for making it here tonight on short notice. I know this has been going back and forth over the last couple of weeks. But I've been in contact with Bob Manfreda from the Finance Committee, and he has asked me if we could just get together again and speak about this and, give the Board of Finance a little more info on it. I told him we already had our vote. So I said what I could do is allow each of us to speak on how they voted and, what they thought the pros and cons were, and then I could submit that as a report to him that they could work from. So that's what led us here tonight. And that's kind of just what I planned on doing, is just allowing each person to speak, give their opinion on the apparatus proposal. And then, from there, I will submit a report to Bob.
And just FYI, the Board of
Yes.
Finance meeting is immediately after this at 7 o'clock.
Yes.
It's a regular meeting, so there will be opportunity for public comments there too.
Okay.
Just helping you along, DJ.
No problem. Unfortunately, I'm at work, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to attend that.
Yep.
But I will do my best to get all the info to him for tonight. Him and I did speak though, so if not, he will take the necessary measures to get a meeting set up so that they can discuss this. So with that being said, I guess if each of us just kind of want to give a little opinion on it and go from there, and then like I said, we'll submit it to them. So I guess we could start. I'll start with Doug, and he can. We'll go from there.
All right, sounds good. Hello, everyone. So I voted in favor of this truck, and I voted in favor for a number of different reasons. I think a Quint in a small town is, it's kind of a Swiss Army knife. It does a lot of things, and people argue that it doesn't do everything well. But I think in terms of getting equipment and apparatus and capability on the road, it's a good option for a town like this. I think being a six-wheeler, it's short, it's maneuverable. It's probably got a lot more utility than Tower One. It can get a lot of different places. It can do a lot of different things. That said, I think it did come into this committee kind of shotgunned into our first week of responsibilities, tucked in a pile of documents that we all had to look at and digest. And I think, part of this committee's scope is to develop an overall plan, and try to scope with both departments' participation, scope out what the equipment looks like for the it's not a 5-year buy, it's a 20-year buy, and what's the fleet look like, and what are the needs, and how does that all work with the equipment? I will say I was moved by the attractiveness of a 15% discount and no waiting time. That certainly worked into my decision, but I look at it as a Swiss Army knife and a good piece of equipment. If you're going to run this thing first due, it's going to have a lot of utility.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. Next, Peter, if you want to go ahead and touch on your thoughts.
Yep, I voted for it, and rather than re-quote it, I would say I agree with everything Doug said, including the points about it being thrown into our laps and the town really struggling to grasp its overall fleet management. But I agree with Doug mostly.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll go with Fred.
Okay, well, I was the odd guy out, obviously. I voted and opposed to it. DJ had mentioned, during the original meeting that, we're all always in favor of having those extra tools in the toolbox. But, I had asked, Chief Baker, if he could tell me in recent history when the last time an aerial was used in Stony Hills District. And he referred to a fire on Sunny Acres, which was actually a dumpster fire. And Brookfield's aerial happened to be covering Stony Hill Station because everybody was out on another call on the other side of town. So it really wasn't a fire that required the use of an aerial. And then I believe he quoted another fire, a house fire on Walnut Hill, and Brookfield's ladder was used at that. And I believe the reason that Brookfield's ladder was used at that fire was because Bethel's ladder was out of service at the time. And you know, some could say that Bethel's ladder was out of service unjustifiably. You know, that's another topic for a different conversation. But, so I can't really see, you know, and other than that, the only other time that I can personally remember an aerial device being used in Stony Hill would have been 35 years ago at the Quantrex fire on Route 6. Most people around today don't even remember that fire or couldn't even tell you where Quantrex was. So I just personally, I don't see the need for 2 ladder trucks in this town at this time. And then, you know, another concern of mine was that it's just so close to the $1 million threshold that, you know, that the town has imposed, you know, to have to go to a referendum, you know, especially with the add-ons. You know, I noticed selectmen had spoken that they wanted to keep the add-ons separate. And I just don't feel that that's proper either. I mean, if you're going to purchase a piece of apparatus, you should consider everything, you know, what it takes to put that apparatus in service and on the road. And I think it's just too close to that $1 million, you know, threshold. And another reason, many years ago, you know, we started reducing the size of the fleet, you know, overall between the both departments. And you know, now we're talking about adding to the fleet. You know, we're talking about buying this piece of apparatus, and I asked Chief Baker, and he says, no, it's not replacing any in-service apparatus. It would be replacing engine 11, which is technically designated as the town reserve. So, you know, and then by getting rid of engine 11, there's not going to really be a town reserve because none of the engines in Stony Hill will fit in the Bethel Fire Department. So, you know, if Bethel needed a spare engine, you know, it would have to be a Stony Hill engine, and it would wind up sitting outside. I don't really see that happening. And then, you know, Matt had mentioned, you know, it's something that's coming in the future. You know, it's probably not that near in the future, but you know, we're moving towards a regionalized response to some extent. And there's just so many ladders within an 8-mile radius of Stony Hills Fire District. And you know, if a quick acquisition for a demo unit is the route we want to proceed, then, you know, I'm sure they're building another demo. There's always going to be demos available. So, and then as Doug mentioned, you know, part of this committee's objective, it was to come up with a replacement policy for the apparatus, and we haven't even dug into that yet. And you know, all of a sudden, our first couple of meetings, you know, this ladder truck has been thrown on us. So all those things combined led me to voting no. You know, is it something, you know, that, you know, we might need in the very near future? Yes. I don't think now is the time, and that's why I voted no.
Okay, Fred, I appreciate it. And very duly noted points. So I think we have left is Rich, if you could give us your rundown.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, presently the Stony Hill area, we have 2 healthcare facilities totaling 240,000 square feet, plus Target, Big Y Shopping Center, a 3-story condominium complex up there on the old Stony Hill site. We have 3 motels. We have the Steiner Corporation corporate park up there, and other businesses along Route 6, restaurants, small businesses, and gas stations. There is also a proposal before planning and zoning for 4-story apartment buildings up there, totaling over 200 apartments. That most likely will happen in the very near future. I voted in favor of this truck. It's the Quint. It can get into tight places. That's where the other aerial truck needs more room for turning. It would support residential, some of the long driveways, the truck could get up the long driveways a lot easier. Yes, it came up kind of sudden, the demo. I witnessed the truck operation. Basically, it's almost one operator could get to the firehouse, get the truck, get to the site or the scene, and actually put the outriggers out and start shooting water on it before the rest of the departments even got there. And I believe that Chief Baker is here, and that is going to be our first line out now. If we do purchase it. So, you know, in the future, if we did build a truck, it would take a year to build it, and it would cost another $200,000 at that time. So I'm wholeheartedly in favor of this purchase for the town. And it would alleviate a little problem downtown if there's something happens with that other ladder truck. I know Bethel wants to spec out a truck and have a truck built. Part of the problem is the firehouse, so they have to build the truck to fit in the existing house there. And it would, you know, take at least a year for that truck to be built, and we're talking $1.6 million minimum for that. So I'm in favor of this purchase. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Rich. I appreciate it. I'm just going to go ahead and give my little spiel real quick, and then we'll go from there. But you know, I did vote in favor for this, but I do want to speak on some things. You know, now that we have had some time to digest, and I do feel honestly that this commission was formed, it was originally formed kind of to alleviate this type of situation where we were thrown into situations like this, and unfortunately the first time that we kind of met together, we were thrown right into this. And with that being said, going forward, it's something I think, certainly every purchase, and especially a large capital item like this is something that, I would like to have the opportunity to put a few months of research in, and to really understand the needs and the impacts and, the overall aspects of what we're getting into. I do feel that, like Doug said, in a volunteer town, where, especially in today's day and age, manpower is an issue. If you're able to run a quint, first due and get a ladder truck in position, early on, that's a big thing. Although I do agree that we have a lot of mutual aid ladders around, at times, if you're calling mutual aid ladders, it's usually because the building's burning down. So it's kind of nice to be able to put a ladder truck in position, right away. So I think there are a lot of bonus points to it. I do kind of feel uncomfortable with the, being so close to that $1 million threshold. I don't want to be, pulling the wool over anybody's eyes, but if it's an opportunity that, fiscally fits the town, then I think it's an opportunity to take advantage of. One thing that, I think if Chief Baker's here, maybe you could speak on, if we're saving, $150,000, is it worth maybe, that $150,000 to put the time in to build this truck specifically for their needs, and that's just one thing that, I would like Chief Baker to speak on if he is here, just to really give us a little better feel on that, and ensure that, this truck, that, because I know they've seen it, I have not seen it, fits their needs. So Chief, are you here?
Yes, I am here. The truck that we demoed is what we had been speccing out, so there would not be very many differences if we were to spec one out and build one today. Can I honestly say we wouldn't make some minor changes? No. But with that said, the cost increase of the difference between this demo and a build today, exactly of what we want, the $75,000 deduction in price based on it being a demo is one advantage. Another advantage is, excuse me, the cost of increase of the build itself. It's a 2020 model, so you're actually saving $65,000 on purchasing a 2020 model versus a new build today. and again, a couple of minor differences. So you are talking, without even changing anything, close to $150,000 savings. So that's why we wanted to jump on this opportunity.
Okay, understood. Listen, I want to thank everybody for this. I know this is kind of maybe a little frustrating. This is kind of like a road we've already been down, but you know, I know the Board of Finance has some concerns, and hopefully by, you know, hearing all these out, and I can, you know, put this into a report and get it to Bob, hopefully this would answer some of their questions. So before we wrap it up, does anybody else have anything they want to say? Any other questions or concerns or comments?
Are we allowed to ask a question?
That's up to.
DJ, are we allowed, as a Board of Finance member, allowed to ask a question?
A Board of Finance member?
Yeah, it's
I'm sorry,
Brian, DJ.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to hear. Go ahead.
I guess my question is, and I just like everyone's opinion, you know, I'm not in a fire department. I really don't have any knowledge on it. Does a town the size of Bethel need 2 ladder trucks? And if we purchase this ladder, what would the commission's recommendation be with the ladder truck we have downtown?
Is there any, I can give you, Brian, my opinion on it, and then I'll allow anybody else to speak if they'd like. Obviously, you know, I certainly, I don't want to say we need 2 ladder trucks, because we don't. The way that I look at this is if this opportunity is arising, and it's a way for us to have an engine, you know, a Quint that, you know, we can run as a first due apparatus. If it's gonna be perhaps, you know, did I disappear there? Hold on. If it's going to, you know, be able to push back the replacement of an engine and give us an opportunity to get a, you know, a ladder truck, which is something, you know, that I know that Stony Hill's been working towards. If that's something that's able to do, then in my opinion, it's a tool that, you know, if that is truly working, then it's an opportunity to look at, in my opinion. Does that make sense, Brian?
No, I'm just, I guess my question is, what do we do? You know, and again, that'd be the fire commission and the fire departments.
Can I say something? We keep calling it a ladder truck, and I want to be clear that it's basically a fire engine with an aerial device on top of it. It's actually a Quint. It's a smaller piece than the tower that Bethel has, so it can be considered more of a residential or something that can get into smaller areas than a commercial vehicle. So to give you the specifics, this is only 39 feet long, where Bethel's tower is 47 feet long. Okay, so it's going to be able to get into smaller places. As far as the reach of the ladder, it's 107 feet versus Bethel's tower, which is 95 feet. Okay, so you're getting a longer reach on a smaller platform. So it's not supposed to be a duplication of what we have. It's to be something that would complement it. Some of the surrounding towns also have the 2 devices. Brookfield has a tower and this Quint. There's 2 Quints and a tower device in Newtown. And when we're talking about, well, there's a lot in the area, well, because each individual town believes that they need them. And as DJ said, getting a ladder device to the scene on a timely basis of something that your property that you're trying to protect is crucial. Yeah, if it's something that you know that you basically lost and you're just going to try and put water on it, yeah, now you have some time and you can strategically, usually you're going to use more than one aerial device, and that's what it's being used as an elevated platform for water. So I believe that there are 2 different things. And again, what another thing that DJ brought up is, because it is an engine as well, it's going to also take some of that burden off of some of the pumpers that we have to stretch the life of those as well.
DJ, it's Nick Ellis from the Board of Finance. Can I ask a question?
Absolutely. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, sir. Again, I've lived in town all my life, and I have so much respect for Stony Hill and South Street Department and what they do. I just think it's a real treasure for volunteers to be taking care of this town as long as they have. So, but my question is, with all the new development that Richie Straighten mentioned, isn't all new commercial building sprinklerized? Doesn't everything have sprinkles now and sprinklers in a commercial building? That isn't that code now?
4 stories.
What?
4 stories.
Thank you, Rich. DJ, is that code
Yeah.
now or what? The 4-story
yeah.
apartment building would be sprinkler?
Yes, I would believe it should be sprinkler. I mean, I'm not sure if Tom Galliford's on there. He could answer that definitely for sure, but, that,
And then just one other, just one other
Go
thing.
ahead.
If this ladder is needed up in Stony Hill, and it's definitely needed in a lot of old buildings downtown, and this ladder, Tower 1, everybody says 3, 4, 5 years that needs to be replaced. So does this fire commission believe that we should have 2 new ladder trucks in a matter of 5 or 6 years?
I don't think, my opinion personally, that we don't need 2 new ladder trucks. That's why I'm trying to look at it as taking advantage of buying an engine with the addition of the ladder. But I personally, like I said, I do not think we need 2 new ladder trucks.
Mr. Chair, DJ, this
Yes.
is Matt. If
Yes.
you don't mind, I'd like to try to address that question because Nick brought up a good one. And
Okay.
I'm going to again take responsibility and apologize to the commission. As I said the evening that you guys met, we set up the commission to be deliberate and studious. And then I threw a monkey wrench into it by bringing this to you and asked you to consider it because of the opportunity. The thing I want to remind everybody of is at that meeting, and there's no video of it because it was at the firehouse. The reason I brought this up as an opportunity was because the apparatus committee that studied Tower 1, and you are all familiar with that, had been taken out of service, said it was unsafe. This was a determination. The apparatus committee, which the committee did a great job, including Fred, who is now on our fire commission. They all did a terrific job. They put that back into service for a very low amount of money. But in the final report, and I remember Richie Thodes, who is the chair of the committee, speaking to us, he said, you do need to replace that truck, just not today. And so Bethel Fire pushed it up 2 years, not 5. So there, if that committee came back and said, hey, that truck is golden for at least another 10 years, I never would have brought forward this opportunity. So personally, I view this as shifting the primary response from the older Tower 1 to this new Quint, which, as Chief Baker said, is far more versatile, especially in residential areas. And that takes the pressure off of Tower 1. You can actually get more use out of it. And as the Chief Baker said, it takes pressure off some of the other pumpers, so you can get more use out of it. So I just want to be clear. And if this decision is by the Board of Finance that it's not the right time to spend this money, I totally respect that. But this is why I brought it forward for the democratic process to consider, is because of that comment and finding by the apparatus commission that we can get a couple more years out of it, but not much more. And I think that's important. Now, let me just also give you my personal opinion. There's absolutely nothing wrong with staying below the $1 million mark on this. And the only reason I recommended holding off the other equipment that goes on, which is still below $1 million, by the way. But at the time that the Board of Selectmen voted, we did not have tight prices. They were estimates. So I wanted them to vote on actual estimates that have been negotiated for the lowest possible price. Otherwise, I would have said, yeah, put it all on the same tab. You should know, ladies and gentlemen, that most towns have moved their threshold for these types of things up to 5 million, if not more. We are very conservative. It costs about $15,000 to run a referendum, which the cost is what it is. That's how democracy works. But we're still in the age of COVID. You are unlikely to get a very good turnout for those things. It's very difficult to do. So if we have an opportunity that meets our needs, number one, meets our needs, and it happens to be below $1 million, that's a win for the taxpayers, in my opinion. So I just wanted to clarify those points so that there was no ambiguity about that. And thank you, Mr. Chair.
DJ, if I can just finish up
Yes.
with one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
If Stony Hill has a new ladder truck and Tower 1 fails, there's a problem with it or something, because you don't think we should be buying 2 ladder trucks in 5 years, would Stony Hill be the primary ladder company? I mean, I treat them as one department, but I know they're 2 different departments. But
No, I know.
you think it
Honestly,
would go well with South Street not having a ladder truck there?
I'm gonna tell you right now that I don't think it would go well right now. I do agree that, I think one thing we would need to do is really start working more side to side to understand that, whether Stony Hill and South Street, we're still protecting Bethel. And that's, the thing that's most important.
Yeah.
But to kind of speak on your point, Nick, is, this is like, when I was saying before, I feel like, this item, these are the type of things like you bring up the ladder truck that I think it really needs a couple more months, for us as the commission to discuss this and, these types of items. I mean, it's something that was kind of thrown in our laps kind of quick, and I understand that because of the demo, it's moving along. But for me to firmly say to you that, yes, this is the best option to replace, and that it'll run the primary ladder truck, I honestly, I don't want to say that because it's been a month and we really even haven't had an opportunity for me to learn, the ins and outs of that ladder truck and how they're working and how they're working in both departments.
Thank you for your honesty.
No problem. Anybody else have any other questions, comments, or concerns?
DJ, I'm sorry to hijack your meeting. This is Bob Manfred. We have a meeting following. It's unfortunate.
Go ahead, Ben.
Timing of these 2 meetings, but they are what
Yeah.
they are. I think what would be most helpful to the Board of Finance
Yes.
is your commission to be able to advise us as to
Yes.
whether this piece of equipment, this Quint, is the right piece of equipment at the right time within the parameters of a 1 to 7 year fire apparatus replacement. Right, that would, I think, be helpful for us as the board. You may come back to us and say, look, this isn't a perfect time, but it's the right time within a 1 to 7 year apparatus replacement schedule. That's what would be helpful to the Board of Finance. Right? This board, our board, Board of Finance, has done, since I've been chairman, this board has done what we need to do, which is we put money aside for the purchase. I think
Yep.
what we now need, especially in light of the unfortunate events of last year with the other ladder, we just really need you guys to come to us and say, look, we are the apparatus experts, and here's our assessment of where this Quint fits in our fire apparatus plan. Again, whatever 1 to 7 years, whatever you as the equipment experts think is the right time.
Okay. I know personally, like I was saying, to fit in right at this moment, I know speaking for me that, I look at it as this is an engine replacement, with the addition of the ladder, hence the Quint. So if this is, in that 1 to 7 year plan, saving a ladder replacement, then I say it's a definite, good move. But, like I said, without in such a short range of time, without knowing the projected plans of, certain replacements and all that, it's hard for me to say that, this is a definite thing. But, I can, I could try to put together, some type of a little better, plan for you. So that way you guys can read through it and see what we can come up with. Does anybody else from the Fire Commission have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think part of the problem is this is a really complicated equation, right? And there's an opportunity, that was cast in front of everybody really quickly. But to DJ's point earlier, this is, it'll take months to sort out what this plan really needs to look like and scope it out with both departments and figure out it's a chess game, right? What pieces are going to move where. And then you got to put a little assessment in there for what happens if there's an accident, right? You lose a piece of equipment. How are you going to deal with that? There's a lot of things that go into figuring out what the fleet should look like.
Thank you, Doug. I agree wholeheartedly with that conversation. So,
If I could just add,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm not opposed to getting a ladder truck in Stony Hill, but I think as everybody's trying to indicate, we haven't had time to really think about it and digest it and come up with a plan, you know? I mean, if this was replacing an engine in Stony Hill, then, you know, I might be more easily swayed, but I just don't know. I don't know what the future outlook for, you know, total apparatus for the total, you know, for the whole town is, you know, we haven't really had time to digest that. And I think that's the main thing there. It's just, I don't think it's the right time. I mean, we may need a ladder truck in Stony Hill, or you want to call it a Quint. I just don't know that this is the right time. And really, the only thing that, you know, keeps the, you know, Bethel's Tower 1 from being classified as a Quint is 200 gallons. I think to be classified as a Quint, it has to have, you know, a ladder, a pump, and 500 gallons of water. Bethel's ladder truck has everything except for the 500 gallons. It only has 300 gallons of water. So I mean,
DJ, we're running
Bethel's ladder
short of
truck-
time. I just want to make one comment. Stony Hill has been requesting this type of truck for at least the past 6 years. Thank you.
You know, I just kind of want to speak on that real quick, and I completely understand that, but just, you know, and I don't speak for the whole commission, I'm just speaking for myself as a chairman. I know that they've been requesting one, but like I said, you know, the first night we met in person, you know, this was presented to us. So, you know, for me to say that this is the best thing for that, you know, I think it's something that personally I would really like to research, see what Stony Hill's done in the past so far, you know, to work towards what they've researched for their ladder truck. Again, you know, just follow up on where we might be with the ladder truck downtown. So I think, you know, like I said earlier on, if the opportunity's there, you know, it's a tool in the toolbox, but, you know, it's hard for me to outright just say that necessarily this is the greatest time to get this exact piece of equipment. Does anybody else have any concerns, or Bob, are you still there?
I am, DJ, if you need me, I'm free to.
No, yeah, I just wanted to, have you been on the whole meeting now?
No, I came in probably about 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago.
Okay, so just, you know, I'm gonna, like I said at the beginning, I'll, you know, I heard everybody out with their questions, concerns, and then I can put this together in a recommendation report that we can forward to you and let, you know, you guys see what you think from there. Does that still work?
Yeah, that'd be helpful, DJ. We can always pull a special meeting together if there's some time urgency.
Okay, all right. Any other last questions, comments, or concerns?
Just quickly, DJ, it's Tom Gallagher. Do you want me to answer the question about the sprinklers?
Sure, Tom. Thank you. Absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, so any apartment building with 3 or more units is required to be sprinklered. So anything that's 3 stories has to be, but it's a different type of sprinkler system. It's not a full sprinkler system. Places like small closets, bathrooms, and attic spaces do not have to be sprinklered in large 3- and 4-story apartment buildings. So they still burn. There's many case studies of large apartment buildings burning and having a major fire because of lack of sprinklers in certain areas. And that's just following the basic code requirements through the code process.
Thank you, Tom. And I will just say that, you know, one thing I've always lived by in the fire service is that sprinklers do not eliminate fires. You know, they help control a vast majority of them, but you can't hang your hat on sprinklers. You know, certainly when you look at a lot of these buildings that are built today, they're all built completely out of wood, and it's very easy for sprinkler systems to be overwhelmed. So that's just something that I think we always need to keep in mind. Again, anybody else have any last concerns, comments? If not, I will make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Who's that seconded?
Rich.
Oh, thank you, Rich. All right. We'll any discussion on the motion?
All right.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right.
All right, so Board of Finance, whoever's on this meeting that is going to participate in the Board of Finance meeting, I'm sorry, you're going to have to, I'm going to end it, and you're just going to have to log back in. So just give me a minute just to get the next meeting up and going, and we'll be ready to go.
Oh.